Nobody knew what Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was. After all my father is done, my family is done in Brazil, nobody knew, hey, I grew up training. I want to fight. I want to do it. It's my job to win. He trained to win. I didn't train to lose.
So at the end of the night, your hand is raised. You are the ultimate fighting champion.
We knew that was the way to show the world about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. I did it. I made my family, my father proud. I continued the legacy of the family and my father.
What was it like after that?
The Gracie Academy, double size, a month later. After the second UFC, and then it doubled again. The martial arts will give you the confidence to deal with any kind of situation. So it doesn't matter if he's big, if he's strong, if he's fast. Once you have the confidence and you know what you can do, that you can defend yourself, not attack somebody, but defend yourself and not to lose to that person, you start looking at everybody a little different.
The world is changing. Inspiration is everywhere. It has never been so easy to connect, share, and bring people together. We're learning from others and finding the best in ourselves. Challenging our beliefs. Sharing our vulnerability. Overcoming our fears. Transforming ourselves so we can transform the world. How far can we go?
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is...
This is London Real. I am Brian Rose. My guest today is Royce Gracie, the Brazilian MMA fighter, UFC Hall of Famer, and Gracie Jiu-Jitsu pioneer. Your father, Helio Gracie, first created Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the 1920s, and it is now one of the most popular self-defense systems in the world. You were victorious in the first ever UFC event, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, in 1993 by defeating 3 separate opponents in one night and revolutionizing the world of martial arts forever. You have been named one of the 50 greatest athletes in the world by Sports Illustrated and were the first ever fighter to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. Over the years, you've trained the CIA, FBI, Special Forces, and Navy SEALs, while also teaching Hollywood stars like Chuck Norris, Guy Ritchie, Jim Carrey, and Nicolas Cage. Today, you travel the world teaching jiu-jitsu and keeping the Gracie name at the forefront of the fastest growing sport on the planet. Royce, welcome to London Real.
Thank you, sir.
It's great having you here. You know, I got to start, and I need to start by thanking you, Royce. And I want to thank you and your father, Helio, and the Gracie family, because I think you might have saved my life. And let me just tell you why. I moved to London in 2002, and my life was a mess, Royce. I had just come off the worst year of my life in New York City. The 9/11 bombings happened. I was partying too much. I had had a drug overdose. My girlfriend left me. My best friend had fired me from my job. And I came to London, and I'll be honest, Royce, I was barely alive. I was like a shell of a man. And one of my friends called me from New York and said, Brian, I just started training jiu-jitsu at Helio Gracie. And I had never trained martial arts. I hadn't been respecting my body at all. And he said, you got to try this. And so I Googled someone in London and I started training in 2002. And I didn't miss a session for 8 years. And I'm telling you, it gave me my whole life back. It gave me my confidence back, my discipline back. I respected my body. I got clean. It completely changed my life. And if it wasn't for you and what you've done and your family, I might not even be alive. Now I'm a purple belt with Royce Gracie here in London. And so I just want to thank you for everything you've done. It made a huge difference in my life.
That's the beauty of Jiu-Jitsu. It's not just the martial art part, but when we say it goes beyond the mats, yes, we try to help people, guide them to the right path.
It was everything, you know, and people say, have you ever had a fight on the streets? I said, no, I've never been close. but it was probably because I trained and I had the confidence, and I also respected other people and respected myself, that fights never happened with me for some reason, you know? Because of, like you said, it's a mentality. It's a way of life, isn't it?
Same with me, because I'm a professional fighter, but I never really had a fight on the street. I had confrontations. A lot of people got on my face before the UFC, growing up, but there's so much confidence that this opponents would read on my forehead, this guy's for real. He's not joking around.
Yeah, people can tell. You know, it's funny. I worked on Wall Street, and I worked in the city of London, which is the equivalent. And people think when you're a banker that everyone's nice, but men try to physically intimidate you sometimes in the business world. And even then, knowing jiu-jitsu, a lot of guys would give me space because they knew that I was kind of trained in martial arts. So there's always something there that helped me, even in business, Royce, you know, not just on the streets.
People think sometimes it's just, it's not just because you know martial art that you're aggressive, that you're going to be beating up people. But martial arts will give you the confidence, you see, to deal with any kind of situation. So it doesn't matter if he's big, if he's strong, if he's fast. Once you have the confidence and you know what you can do, that you can defend yourself, not attack somebody, but defend yourself and not to lose to that person, it's you start looking at everybody a little different.
It's so true. And for anybody listening to us right now, I highly recommend you go take a jiu-jitsu class. It doesn't matter if you're 80 years old or 8 years old or a man or a woman or handicapped. I mean, there's guys that train with one arm these days and beat people. My daughter learned jiu-jitsu. My sons are going to learn jiu-jitsu. It's an incredible martial art way of life. You know, it really is. Now,
I have many students that I have taught all over the world. I travel about 7 months of the year. Yes, and I encounter blind people learning the art of jiu-jitsu, people that are handicapped, and yeah, I'm dealing a lot with soldiers right now, helping them out in a program called MVP, Merging Vets and Players. It's combat veterans that come back, and I'm trying to help them out as much as I can.
Yeah, that's an incredible way to do that. You know, really, it can change someone's life to have a focus like that and to get out of your brain. And it's interesting. I've spoken with some teachers, I think some Gracie Jiu-Jitsu people, where they say they don't know someone until they've rolled with them on the mats. They can have conversations for hours, but until they roll with them on the mats, they don't know what they're really like as a personality, right? If they get angry, if they're calm, if they fight dirty, if they fight clean. Is that true?
Yes, it is. People show their character. I mean, that's why my father would say, for you to get a black belt, it takes a minimum of 10 years with us. Any other style, martial art, most of them, you get in 2-3 years, you get a black belt. But with my father, it was a minimum of 10 years. So average is about 12 to 15 years. Because he would say, after 10 years, you know the person's personality, the person's qualities, the way he thinks. Sometimes you don't even know after 10 years. So it takes longer to know the person's character.
Yeah, that's such an old school mentality when these days everyone's used to getting everything quick, right?
Everybody's like, I mean, but it's been like this for years with different martial arts. In 2 years and you get a black belt, but you don't know who the person is. So we're very particular on who represents us.
Tell me about, your father. I've been to Rio de Janeiro, and I got to get the feeling of Copacabana and Ipanema, and I got to train at Gracie Barra, and I got to train with the Brazilian top team later, and it was amazing. But I always remember that image of your father from the movie Choke, where Hickson's training with him, and he's very old, but he's still on the mats, and he's talking, and he has this confidence about him, even though I know he wasn't a big physical man. What are your memories of him, and how important was his personality in forming Gracie Jiu-Jitsu?
It was a lot of people in the beginning thought that the Gracies are arrogant. They're trying to put down the other styles of martial art. But no, they're in a quest to find out which style is the best, because everybody claimed that their style is the best. So my father, my uncles, once they learned the art of jiu-jitsu, they got into this quest of boxing says the best. Okay, there's only one way to find out. Let's take the rules, the time limit, the weight division, get in a ring, a cage, and duke it out. Let's see which style is the best. So a lot of people in the beginning was thinking, like I said, they were arrogant, but no, we're just in a quest. And then it became my cousins, my brothers, myself, who was in a quest to find out, because everybody, when we got to America, used to say, oh, Kung Fu is the best style and every style is the best. So my father had taught us that mentality. We got raised with that kind of mentality of which style is the best. Let's find out. Don't just believe that my style is the best, my father used to say. He used to say, hey, you got to go prove, because there's always a new style, a new person, a new champion. So you got to go do it.
And the fact that your father was a small guy, it affected the creation of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, right? It meant that, I mean, a small person could beat a bigger opponent if they used the right strategy, the right leverage, the right intelligence.
He learned pretty much by watching. He was very small. My uncles learned from the Japanese gentleman that was doing business in Brazil and traveling through, and taught my uncles. My uncles continued their learning. And then my father was very small, couldn't do it. So he sat down and watched. On his mind, he didn't invent a new art. He just added leverage into the moves. So he made it easier, changed a couple little things to make it easier for himself so he could do it.
And does it ever boggle your mind that simple thought process that your father had many years ago, almost 100 years ago now, changed the whole planet? I mean, if it wasn't for that, then there wouldn't have been Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. There wouldn't have been a UFC, because Horium wouldn't have done it. And then it wouldn't have shown the whole world this new martial arts system. I mean, that's crazy to imagine that, right?
He was way ahead of his time. He was way ahead. I mean, challenging guys almost double his weight. Don't care, no gloves at the time, no time limit. It's unheard of.
He did a fight 3 hours and 40 some minutes, right?
Correct. While he was sick at the hospital, he accepted the challenge. The doctors didn't want him to fight and still fight that long.
What was he like as a man? What do you remember?
He was hands-on. Move out of my way, let me do it. Whatever, you're doing something, he'll step in, he'll watch you for a second, and he'll figure out the easier way to do it. And he'll be like, hands-on, let me do it. Move out, I'll show you how to do it faster, easier. That's why when he was watching my fights, or when he was watching me training for my fights, I always brought him in to watch the entire training. I can see that on his mind, he's trying to figure out a way to make it easier. Because when I fought, there was no time limit, no weight division. So, I mean, the time limit came in after, but there was most of my fights with no weight division. So he was always thinking, if the opponent is bigger, stronger, how can you make it easy? How can he could make it easier?
And what was he like as a parent? Was he big on discipline? Did he want you to fight?
As a parent, my mother was a tough one. My father was pretty much, don't disappoint me. He never lay a hand on us. he was against hitting kids. So the discipline never came over as a slap, a whip, nothing. There was nothing like that. No beating on us, ever. Never touch us. But just the look that he would have given to us, it would have been like, you let me down, son. That was enough for us to break us, to go, my God, I disappoint him. You see, I don't want to let him down. So.
And was it always important for you to keep the Gracie name, to keep the family respected by all the actions? I mean, you guys were really close, right? And it was important because you were always being judged by your actions that meant what the Gracies were about.
That's what he taught us. He always tried to keep us on the right path, never drink, never smoke, party. He was against really going out to parties. It was very disciplined life, but he lived as an example. So he wouldn't do stuff like this, eat the Gracie diet. He would always keep us on track with the Gracie diet, would sleep early, exercise, but he would do it himself. That's the thing. It's not just he'll tell us to do and he will do something else. No, he would do it. He would follow that kind of life.
Right. And you had he would train jiu-jitsu in Copacabana, and then you had your ranch kind of out in the countryside, and you kind of had these two lives, right?
Every weekend, I mean, growing up, 14 years old about, every student that came in, no, I was a little earlier than that, about 12 years old, every student that came in, he would supply the kimono, the gi, to the student. So the student used the kimono. So you did not have to bring a kimono to the school. So every time you show up, there's a gi, there's a towel, all the bathroom stuff for you, personal. You use it, you put it in a basket, and then on the weekend, on Friday, he will take us, the kids, and the car load, packed with kimonos, with dirty gis and towels, and spend the whole weekend in the farm washing those. Put a load to wash. Once that load is done, put a new load in, hang all the towels, all the gis on the sun. Brazil doesn't need dryers. Sun will dry the thing. So when it keep rotating, as soon as one is dry, he will start folding those while the next load is already washing, the next load is already drying. So it's a systematic thing that on the weekend, Sunday, he would have to drive back in town to Rio with the car load packed with fold gis and towels, ready for the week.
He had to do everything by the book, right? It had to be perfect.
So we learned how to fold gis. As the kids, we learned how to wash kimonos and dry and hang them to dry and then fold them.
And what's it like growing up in Rio de Janeiro? I mean, I've been there. It's not as dangerous as people say it is, but it's Copacabana. I mean, it's an intense place, right? What was it like growing up?
It's an awesome youth. It's danger, but we live life. It's danger, yes. There is the robberies, the crime that happens every day. I'm not gonna say it's a peace and love place. No, but it's a very warm people. It's a very the food is awesome. The people is awesome. So every day they go to the beach. They live life. They don't just people sometimes in America, I think they work to live. They work every day to live life. Over there, they live life and they work just enough to live a good life. Yeah. But it's a party every day. It's a part of me. You go to the beach, you live life over there.
Yeah, I first went to Brazil, I think in 2005, and I remember I stayed 2 weeks there. And after a week, I realized that I was slowing down, you know? And I remember I would walk down the beach, and the first week I was like, everyone's too slow. I was going past people, and then I realized, no, I'm too fast, you know? And it was this slow way of enjoying everything, enjoying the beach, enjoying the acai, enjoy your training. It was a great contrast to feel that, you know?
But the people is a very warming people. Kind of like in the South in America, they have the Southern hospitality.
Right.
In Brazil, they don't want you to go home. You show up as I bet the time came to go home, back to America, or when you tell them, hey, I'm leaving tomorrow, they're going, why? Why don't you stay longer? Why you have to go? They don't want you to go, never.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I remember I trained with Murilo Bustamante, and he was like, Brian, I'll drive you to the airport. You know, one time he introduced me to a boxing teacher, Claudio Coelho, who was up at the Nobre Arch, you know, up in the favelas where I trained boxing there. And he was like, you want to train boxing? I'll call my friend. And then one time I was training with Claudio Coelho, and he speaks only Portuguese. I speak only English. He said, I'm going to call my friend, and he's going to translate. And so Pedro Rizzo drives up. Pedro Rizzo, just by the way, if you don't know him, big mixed martial artist. He goes up and comes in and he says, I'm just here to translate for you. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, just super friendly, you know, always making me feel at home.
Very tough professional MMA fighter.
Yeah.
From Brazil.
And he shows up.
One of the hardest kicks, man, I heard.
Oh, the hardest low kicks. And he just showed up to help because Claudio was his instructor and he was just helping out. So yeah, I have great memories in Rio. And in Rio de Janeiro, they knew the Gracie family were tough guys. They knew, well, not tough guys. They knew your martial art was important. They knew that you were hard fighters. Like everyone knew that in Rio. That's correct, right? But nobody knew that in America.
Exactly. That's what happens when Rorion first came to America. And Rorion was like, nobody knew about my father. We're talking the 70s. Nobody knew what Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was. After all my father is done, my family is done in Brazil, nobody knew about us. So that was Rorion's mission, to spread out Gracie Jiu-Jitsu in America.
Right, and Rorion used to teach in his garage, I think, there in Los Angeles. And then sooner or later, you kind of had these Gracie challenges where people would come in off the streets or bring their martial arts instructor because they wanted to fight you guys, because you guys were always saying, we'll fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. And no one was really doing that back then, right?
We offer to the students, hey, if you have somebody, a teacher or martial arts that doesn't believe, bring them in. Because the students will come in and tell us back in the garage days, hey, my wrestling coach doesn't believe this stuff works. Sure, bring them in, bring him in. But the idea was not the Gracie challenge back then. It wasn't exactly to beat them up, to beat the karate instructor or the student or whoever shows up back in the garage. The idea was to prove it to them that our style was better and to gain that person as a student. Because back then we used to offer for every student, that it was only private, half an hour private classes, okay? So every student, every friend that you bring to take a free lesson, private class, even if he doesn't sign up, he comes in, take one free private class. You get a free private, half an hour private too.
Okay.
So your friend will receive a private lesson. So if you bring 4 friends, you got 4 privates. If you come once a week, that's your month. So that was it. And then students used to spread out the word. And then sometimes, once in a while, they would tell the instructor or a friend that's a black belt or somebody they know, and the guy will go, I don't believe on this stuff. Sure, well, bring him in and we'll do a little sparring. but they will come in to fight. We were in a mission to try to convince him to become a student so we can beat him up.
What would usually happen? What would happen usually when someone came in and wanted to, I don't know, fight or prove themselves? What would usually happen?
Oh, they will come in. We just like, okay. A lot of the times we film those, but a lot of the times you do your thing. What do you want to do? A wrestler? Well, let's wrestle. I don't believe you can take me down. I'm the best wrestler in town over here. Sure. But when we go to the ground, even if you take me down, we continue until somebody quit. So even if he takes me down, but now I'm on the border, but I submit him, he's like, wait, how did you do that? That's not part of wrestling. We're not doing wrestling. Or karate guys who show up, and as soon as we get in a clinch, take them down, they're like, okay, stop. No, stop for what? We said, let's continue until somebody quit. You see, karate is good, but if you don't know how to escape from the bottom, you're stuck. So that was the idea. We were very under control, not to hurt the possible future student. Right. But they would come in to fight us. They want to fight us. We want to gain a new student.
You know, people listening to this now, Royce, this isn't going to make sense because the UFC has been around for 27 years and we've seen, the best fight the best, fight the best. We've seen the sport evolve. But back in 1993, martial arts was strange. It was so fragmented that everyone thought their art was the best. Everyone thought their instructor was a god, right? And no one had ever tested it. So it was weird. You had all these pockets of people around the world that were delusional about the effectiveness of their martial art, and no one had ever tested it, which it's weird that it took that long, right?
Well, okay, on the beginning, there was a style of martial art against a style of martial art. There was karate against kung fu. There was wrestling against kickboxing. There was one style against the other. When we came in teaching jiu-jitsu and challenging and trying to prove that our style was the most complete art of self-defense, it was the bond in between wrestling, karate, boxing. You see all the styles, you glue them together. Today, so back then was a style against a style. Today is more of the athlete against an athlete. It's not, you see, because they're all, of course, most of the fighters today, Lyoto Machida comes from a karate background. Randy Couture comes from a wrestling background. But karate and wrestling doesn't have triangle chokes and arm locks, and they cannot even do the chokes. So, and they do win sometimes with chokes and arm locks. And so that means they combine, the jiu-jitsu became the glue in between all the styles.
Yeah, indeed.
There's more like an athlete against an athlete is who have the best strategy, who is have the best cardio, the best endurance, who have the best, you see, so training and facility and the sparring partners, and so the best food, everything counts today. So it's one athlete against another because everybody knows the same thing.
Yeah. And now everybody knows some jiu-jitsu. You have to know some, or there's no way you're going to make it through probably 2 minutes of a fight.
You have to know. That's, like I said, jiu-jitsu, I mean, again, it's a strategy game. A strategy, a lot of people confuse, for the viewers, a lot of people confuse, what's your strategy for this fight? And the guy goes, well, my strategy is I'm going to come in, I'm going to throw a 1-2 punch combination, I'm going to shoot in, take double leg, take him down, mount on my opponent, and then punch him until he turns around, and I'm going to choke him out. That's not a strategy. That's a wish. The opponent didn't do a thing. A strategy is knowing what your opponent's going to do, when is he going to step, so I can hit or tackle him and choke him or knock him out. So I know my opponents, when is he going to step? When is he going to do this move so I can hit him, knock him out on the right moment, the right timing. So a lot of people say, well, but that was luck. No, there's no such thing as luck. If you go back to training, to the person's training camp, he trained that so many times. You see, he studied the opponent. So you don't win the fight when you won it. You win the fight when the opponent makes a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to talk about how, well, your father used to say, your first job as a fighter is not to lose, right? And by not losing, then you figure out the win.
Correct. Example that he always give is, if we are going to play ping pong, okay, table tennis, every time you throw the ball my side of the table, doesn't matter where you put the ball on my side of the table, I'll catch that ball and I'll put it back on the center of your table. What am I doing? I'm playing a perfect defense game. There's no way I'm going to lose, because it doesn't matter where you put the ball. On my side, I'll get that ball and I'll put it back on the center of your table. So when do I win? That's become the question. When you miss the table, did I win? No, you lost. You're the one who missed the table. You see, so that's the art of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. It's a very defensive art. It's not of a attack and aggressive and go for the win. No, it's a defensive art. I'm capitalizing on a person's mistake.
Yeah. I struggled with that in my first few years of jiu-jitsu because, you know.
Everybody does.
Oh my gosh. I would see the triangle choke and then I would try to get it and then I would miss it and I would then try to get it again, but it was too late. And I think it was Mauricio Gomez, who's the father of Royce Gracie here in London. And he said submissions are like waiting for the bus. He said, if you miss one, you just wait and another one comes along.
Correct. So it's like you capitalize on the person's mistake. So person makes a mistake. If you miss, wait for the next one. Because if you try to go for the win, that's when you start making a mistake.
Yeah.
You start to press and push and the person out, capitalizing on your mistakes.
It's good philosophy for life too, huh? So
you gotta play defense.
Right. So tell me about the UFC. Your brother Rorion came up with that idea. It finally happened in '93. What do you remember about, that time, about coming up with the idea? And then, of course, you being selected. I mean, those are some big moments there. What do you remember about that?
I always, I think it was a little reverse psychology in my family. They use reverse psychology because I always want to do it. I always want to, hey, I grew up training. I want to fight. I want to do it. I want to do even if it was a simple self-defense demonstration. Choose me. I was always like, but there's so many of us that they were like, no, you're not, there's one better than you. We're going to keep you aside. So it's like, why you choose my brother, my cousin, instead me? For a demonstration, for a simple demonstration, or for a fight. So I see them doing it. I want to do it. So when Rorion gave me the opportunity, it's quietly, but I'm over there like, hey guys, I'm here. Don't forget about me. I've been training all this time. I can do this. So when Rorion, my father, decided to give me the chance, yes, I'm very, I learned from my father to control your emotions. So when Rorion, my father, said, yes, you're going to do it, I'm like, okay, thank you. Awesome. But inside I'm going, yes, that's But I'm on the outside, I'm like, oh, okay, thanks, guys. It's very...
Yeah. Yeah, you have one of the best poker faces in the game, Royce. Is that come from your father or from your whole family?
From my father.
Okay.
It's like my father was against celebrating a win. He's like, why? It's your job. So a lot of times when I won, I'm like, okay, raise my hand. Thank you very much. People like, wait, there's no emotion. He's not sad. He's not happy. He should be celebrating. Celebrating what? It's my job to win. When I lost, those a couple times that I lost, that's when I went back to the locker room and thought, what happened? Where did the train got derailed? Because I knew what he was going to do, and I the one did. What happened? Got try to figure out what happened? Where the train got derailed? But the wins, yes, some of the brothers and cousins celebrating, pick me up, but most of the time was like my father was like, do not celebrate, because celebrating, you are putting down your opponent. You already beat your opponent, and you're gonna do a dance on top of that, on top of him. Why? There's no necessity for that.
You know, I've heard the same thing, Royce, from some great champions that I've sat in this studio with. Mr. Olympia, Dorian Yates. He was 6-time Mr. Olympia, right? Bodybuilder. And I said, what did you do the night you won? And he said, well, first of all, he said the next day he started training, which I know you do too. But he said, I was supposed to win. That's what he said. I was supposed to win.
He trained to win.
Yeah.
I didn't train to lose. So my father was totally against that. The celebration. Okay, you go on the back, you and your team. Yes. But there's no reason to taunt your opponent more, put him down more. He's already feeling bad that he trained to win too, and he lost. Nobody trains to lose. So, but he lost, and you're gonna taunt him, make fun of it, and nah.
So tell me about the UFC. Was it difficult to get it finally done? Was it something that Rorion had talked about for years? And then when it finally happened, I mean, it was supposed to be a showcase for Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Is that right?
It was a showcase it was not exactly a show because nobody knew what was going to happen. So it can't be a showcase for Jiu-Jitsu. I could have took a punch that hit and got knocked out. So it was a gamble. It was bringing the concepts from Brazil that my father, my uncles, my cousins, my brothers been doing in Brazil, trying to figure out which style is the best. When Rorion first came to America, everybody was like, karate is the best, kung fu is the best. Everybody, we went back in time. So we're like, hold on, what's going on here? Man, let's start with the Gracie Challenge. From the Gracie Challenge, it took too long to spread the word of Jiu-Jitsu. That's when Rorion decided to create the UFC. And yes, it was a showcase for Jiu-Jitsu, but it was a gamble because nobody knew what was going to happen. There was a sumo wrestler, karate, the top guys, boxing at the time on their style, the champions of all champions on their style.
And so let's talk about that night. I mean,
and if it was difficult, if it was difficult to put it together, yes, a lot of people did not believe Rorion. Even people inside the family was like, dude, there is no way. How are you going to pull this off? It's against the law in America to fight on the streets. This is not Brazil. If you fight on the streets, you get arrested. How are you going to manage to put this on national TV? How are you going to put this on national TV? There's no way. So a lot of people doubt Rorion.
Yeah, it took some serious vision to do that. And not a lot of people know that at the time, you know, Rickson Gracie was fighting in Japan and making a big name for himself. And there's a great movie, Choke, where you can see your father, Helio, and Rickson training, and you can see Helio talk. It's great stuff. But, you know, Rickson was the most obvious guy to put into UFC. You know, he weighed a lot more than you, right? Had fought a lot more professional fights. And it would have been the smartest thing to put Rickson in there to take care of business. And yet instead they stick this young kid who's barely 170 some pounds in there as you instead. Why?
I think they saved Rickson. I think that was my father and Horton's plan. Give me a chance. If something happens, hold on, Rickson is the champion of the family. Let's bring in the heavy duty weapons over here. So they saved Rickson on that one. You see, Rickson is the champion. Why put the champion? No, let's put the underneath one. Let's put a young one that haven't fought yet to show the art of jiu-jitsu, more of an average size. There was many brothers and cousins that could have done the same thing I did. It's just that I was on the right weight at the right time. There's brothers and cousins, they were too light or a little too heavy or had some other professional fights before. I never had a fight before professionally, so
you're the only guy at the UFC that never had a professional fight, right? All the others had fought in tournaments and things like that, right?
Yes, never had a fight before. Not even on the streets.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Do you remember that night? I mean, do you remember what it was like when all the fighters finally realized that it was real and it wasn't some wrestling match, it wasn't scripted, there's no time limit, you know, and it was actually happening and it's going to be on television? What do you remember that? And what was it like?
I think people realize that on the, not a press conference, but the rules meeting, that people start to kind of wait, but I want to do this, I want to do that. Everybody start to kind of, I want to wear this, I want to wear that, I want to wear shoes, I want to wear bandages on my knuckles, can I do this? And that's when Taylor Tully got up and said, hey, I'm here to fight, man. There's no rules on this thing. I'm here to fight. Whoever wants to fight, show up tomorrow and just walk out. And everybody's like, okay, this thing's for real. And the next day, as soon as the first fight started, the Geraldo Gordon kicked Taylor Tully's tooth out. That's when everybody in the back was like, uh-oh, it is real. There's no joke over here.
I remember, man.
Everybody.
If you watch that first UFC, he literally kicks his tooth out and the guy's tooth goes flying. And I heard that there wasn't even going to be a referee in the cage at first. And the last minute you got John McCarthy in there, but it might have just been two guys in a cage that just got locked, right? I mean, was that rough?
On the first UFC, actually, it was a Brazilian black belt in jiu-jitsu for my father. That he was over there to watch, and last minute, we're like, you know what, let's put a referee because everybody's complaining. It would be too brutal, but the referee had not really much of a say so. So it was just a person in the cage to kind of control the fighters. If somebody taps, somebody quit, for him to step in and separate. But there was no rules, there was no time limit, there was no weight division, no gloves. It's very raw.
Groin strikes are legal, eye pokes are legal, everything's legal.
There was no eye gouging or biting. That's the only two things that are not legal.
Okay. And so you show up with the Gracie signature family where everyone's got their hands on the shoulders and you all walk down in a line. You're there and Helio's there and probably Hoyler was there.
Helson, yep. Holkett, everybody's there.
And explain to people what it's like to fight 3 times in one night. Because after the first fight, I can only imagine all your joints, they start to kind of seize up and then the adrenaline dump. I mean, to fight again and to fight it again, I mean, it's a completely different ball game, isn't it?
It's a strategy game. It's a strategy game. You can just come in and give all out on the first fight because there's somebody else waiting for you. So if you win this, you got to fight again. So you can hit all out a punch because there's no gloves, so you break your hand. You break your hand, you can come back to fight the next one. So it's a very strategic night.
To continue watching the rest of the episode for free, Visit our website, londonreal.tv, or click the link in the description below.